So, Celtics Bucks. Here we are. The playoffs have finally really begun or something. So the first question I have is not whether the Celtics can defend Giannis, although I'll get to that, but it's more so the big man situation. Aaron Baines, Brook Lopez, that whole thing. Because I think a lot of that dictates the way this series goes. The Celtics have been using the Baines-Horford lineup. Very successful against the Pacers. Really good towards the end of the regular season. Brook Lopez is an amazing shooter. And I think Horford kind of has to be on Giannis. So then after that, it's, well, does that mean Baines is on Lopez? Because if Baines is on Lopez, I think you're going to have some problems if you're the Celtics for obvious reasons, right? So then, are the Celtics going to have to get another wing in there instead of Baines? That takes away some of their rebounding, some of their inside stuff, which they've desperately needed because this team doesn't get a lot of offensive rebounds. They don't shoot a lot of free throws, so to have that one physical dude really makes sense, and going away from that and getting the athletic lineup in there, in theory it's better because we're in 2019, but the Baines stuff with the Celtics was really good. But, you know, if Baines just can't be out there because the Bucks keep on attacking him with space, then you're going to be forced to take him out, right? And then you have a wing, whether it's Gordon Hayward or Marcus Morris or whoever, defending Brook Lopez. I think in some ways that could be fine, because if Brook's just going to stand in the corner or stand at the top of the key, then I think you're fine there. But again, the Bucks are going to get him involved if they think there's a mismatch. At least I think they will. That is an interesting thing, is Coach Bud going to say, okay guys, I know what we've done all season has been, Giannis off-ball stuff and setting screens and occasionally just going ISO or pick and roll. But now we're going to give it to Brook Lopez in the post because he has a 6'7" guy on him. That would be kind of weird, and maybe the Bucks would not be comfortable with that, and maybe that could be step one to throwing them off their game if Lopez is just taking more shots and not taking as many threes. So, yeah, I think that's really going to dictate a lot of what happens in this series, is the Aaron Baines or another wing versus Brook Lopez, or if Brook Lopez gets played off the floor in a situation like that, because, let's say the Celtics are killing the Bucks with another wing. Lopez is being defended well by him on one end because he just, does perimeter stuff and they can stick with him. They're not posting him up. And then on the other end, they're spacing Brook Lopez out because he's not able to just defend against all of that space, right? And by the way, I don't think Brook Lopez is a bad defender. I mean, the Bucks are a great defensive team. The Lakers were a good defensive team last year. Lopez, of course, on both of those. But I think he can still be attacked. And I do think with how Stevens' offense is and the amount of motion and everything and forcing switches and all that, I think you can go at Brook Lopez. So then if he gets played off the floor, then I think we move to Giannis at center. And then it's Ilyasova or Mirotic or Tony Snell or Pat Connaughton or whoever as the other wing that's in the game. And from there, the game probably becomes even more interesting, because then we've got just a whole lot of wings and ball handlers running around, and Giannis may be able to switch 1 through 5 in that scenario. Not that I think every Buck can. I mean, I think the Celtics could still have some Bucks to go at between Sterling Brown, and I think Horford can post up on switches against most dudes in this series besides Giannis. But yeah, I think that's the heart of this series, really. It's what players are going to be able to play and which ones are going to get played off the floor, and which team is going to have to compromise something they've been doing really well lately. I mean, in the case of the Celtics, it's the Baines-Horford lineup. In the case of the Bucks, it's Brook Lopez giving them obscene amounts of spacing, and which team then becomes more athletic and things like that. I guess if we can now talk about just defending the star players, it's going to be really difficult to slow down Giannis. I mean, I think Horford is your best bet in the half court. And, of course, the Celtics have a decent amount of big bodies: Tatum, Brown, Hayward, Marcus Morris, maybe even Semi Ojeleye, funny enough. Although the Bucks could ignore him and then some on offense. But it's going to be difficult. I mean, it's going to take a team effort of swarming him at times and closing out on ball handlers really fast and daring Sterling Brown and Eric Bledsoe to make jump shots, and maybe even switching or trapping Bledsoe or Middleton sometimes. But it's all going to come back to Giannis, and part of me thinks it could be slightly similar to how they defend Embiid, which is they bring doubles sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes it's Horford just playing awesome defense, but even then, Giannis's game is a lot more advanced than Embiid's in terms of going off the dribble and everything, so it's kind of a different animal entirely, but I do think there are going to be some similarities given where Giannis usually operates and stuff, because he's not just sitting at the three-point line. And I do think Giannis is going to have to actually deal with Horford. I don't think he's just going to get through him like nothing. Sure, he can beat him in transition and stuff like that, but in terms of the half court and the Bucks doing their thing with Giannis setting screens and cutting and all that, I think Horford could definitely give him some trouble. I mean, Horford's 6'10", 250, and he's a really strong guy, so yeah, I mean, Giannis isn't just going to be doing whatever he wants. Now, he's still going to beat Giannis, but there's going to be some difficulty there. I guess now we can move to Kyrie. He's still going to do his thing, but between the Bucks' swarming defense and daring you to take mainly top-of-the-key three-pointers with decent closeouts, and Eric Bledsoe being an awesome defender this year, and Giannis being able to kind of do anything on defense, whether it's switch or bring help or whatever, Kyrie is going to see a lot of people coming at him at different angles, and I do trust that he's going to be able to make plays out of that. But even so, he's going to have a kind of difficult time. He's going to have to make some tough shots, and I think he's going to do it. Threes off the pick and roll, pull-ups in transition, and pull-up jumpers in the mid-range, depending on if Brook Lopez is in the game or not. This is another factor in it as well. I mean, the Celtics and Kyrie can attack Lopez and try to get him off the floor this way as well. So, yeah, there's definitely ways for Kyrie to do his thing, but there's also going to be ways for the Bucks to go at him as well. But even with everything I just said, I think it's also going to really depend on Eric Bledsoe. Is he going to be right defensively? Is he going to be able to fight around screens? Can he stick with Kyrie and ISOs? Because I do think they're going to rely a lot on him to do that stuff. Plus, the Celtics run more isolations than they ever have. I mean, Kyrie did it quite a bit in the Pacers series, and it works pretty well because the spacing is there and everything. But, yeah. I think another interesting thing for the Bucks defending the Celtics is, is Tatum going to be aggressive? Is he going to be able to make plays? Because I think the Bucks are going to swarm him at times, and he's going to have to be able to make the right play in the moment and get it to the open shooter and all that. And I think Hayward could be a little better at that, decision-making at least, but I guess in terms of beating his defender consistently and having the confidence to really be willing to attack the rim and not just pull up, that's a different conversation with Hayward. Jalen, I think, could have some trouble, but as long as he's not handling the ball too much, I think he could be okay. Stick to corner threes, transition, go for offensive rebounds, devote a lot of your energy to defense. I think Jalen is maybe the best defender against Giannis for this team besides Horford. And of course, besides Marcus Smart, but he's not here. So he'll definitely have a place in this series. I just don't think he's going to have the ball a lot. I hope Terry Rozier just kind of doesn't play, but I'm pretty sure he's going to have to, and that's really frightening because, I mean, that guy's decision-making is bad against average defense, so against great defense, I think he could really be doing some stupid stuff out there. And Marcus Morris, kind of similar thing. He's going to try his occasional ISOs, and maybe he'll make them, but that's also a scary thought as well. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Bucks in 6 or 7 games. I think even if the Celtics manage to get Lopez off the floor, they still have so many other options. I mean, they traded for Mirotic for something like this, and I mean, then it would be Giannis at center, and they have so many shooters, so if one of them's not really playing well, they can just go to somebody else, and that combined with, Hayward still not totally back, and Marcus Smart isn't here, I just don't think the Celtics have enough stuff to go at this team, but at the same time, I think they're going to give them a tough series. So, yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I think it could even be a thing where it's like the Celtics go out to a 2-1 lead because they've just figured the Bucks out or whatever, and everybody's going crazy. Oh my God, here come the Celtics and Brad Stevens. and then the Bucks win the rest of the games and it ends in 6. I could see something like that happening. So yeah, that's my pick.